Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. I believe we started reading chapter 22 from Kitab al-Tahara, the book of purity and purification, chapter 22. Bab al-Mashi al-Khuffain, wiping over the khuffain. We took hadith number 155. And also, we stopped, or maybe we took hadith number 156, hadith of Hudayfa, radiyallahu anhu. And which he says, رأيتني أنا والنبي, he says, رأيتني أنا والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نتماشى فأتى سباطة قوم خلف حائط فقام كما يقوم أحدكم فبال فانتبذت منه فأشار إلي فجئته فقمت عند عقبه حتى فرغ. Hadith number 156 is narrated by Hudayfa radiallahu anhu. He says, one day me and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam natamasha, we were walking. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, read the translation, Jamil.
Narrated by Hudayfa radiallahu anhu. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and I walked till reached the dumps of some people. He stood as any one of you stands behind a wall and urinated. I went away, but he beckoned me to come. So I approached him and stood near his back till he finished.
The hadith number 156 says that the Prophet sallallahu and Hudayfa were walking, and all of a sudden the Messenger of Allah sallallahu, he stood by. It says subata, where there was a place where people put some garbage or some things that they weren't necessarily using. Other narrations specify with regards to a wall. It says here, خَلْفَ حَائِطٍ. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he relieved himself. He what? He relieved himself. This hadith does not specifically mention about wiping over the khuffain. And the reason why the author has this hadith in this chapter. In Sahih Muslim, this hadith is in the chapter in which Imam Muslim collects all of the narrations about the Prophet ﷺ using the bathroom, relieving himself, and wiping over the leather socks. Everybody understand this? So the highlighting point is not in this hadith, as we've explained in many other places in this book. Khairan inshaAllah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's first and foremost. The main fa'idah of hadith number 156, it shows the permissibility for a man to urinate while standing. It's not haram, nor is it disliked. Contrary to popular belief among many Muslims and not most Muslims. They have the view and the concept that it's haram. And if it isn't haram, then at least it's makruh for a man to stand up and to urinate. This hadith in Sahih Bukhari and in Sahih Muslim clearly proves and affirms that the Rasul he did it. Everybody understand this? He what? He did it. That's the main lesson from this hadith. Aside from the concept of wiping over the leather socks and the other parts of the story. Everybody understand this? So therefore, some of the people of knowledge, they say that the Prophet ﷺ, he only urinated standing up for a reason. They say that he had an ailment in his knees. And the Arabs, whenever they had ailments in their knees, they would urinate standing up. It was their type of medicine to relieve that pain. And others, they say the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't want to sit or squat or whatever the case may be because of the location of where he was. Alright, everybody understand this? Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar rahimahullah explains in good strong detail in Fath al-Bari and others as well, is that the correct view is that it's permissible to urinate while standing as long as the awrah is covered and as long as the person is safe from the ricochet and splashing of urine. The ricochet and the splashing of urine is permissible. A person may urinate sitting down and the awrah may be exposed. A person may urinate sitting down and have urine splash on him or her. It's very possible, especially with modern plumbing. You go to the bathroom, there's certain toilets, you urinate, and water splashes up. Everybody clear on this? You may go sit and squat in a place in which is hard ground, concrete, whatever the case may be. So those two conditions apply to any other state of urination. Obviously, you're talking about males. Everybody understand this? This is a very practical fa'idah. You may go to the bathroom in the masjid, the wudu station, someone's next to you, you use the bathroom, urinate, the person comes and says, "Why, haram, you can't urinate standing up." Or it may be on the wall in the bathroom. Do not stand up urinating, so on and so forth. With these two conditions, it's what?
Permissible.
Jaiz, permissible. Khayran, inshallah. Moving forward. Hadith number 157. The author, rahimahullah, says, Hadith al-Mughira ibn Shu'bata an Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam annahu kharaja li hajati fa'attaba'tu. He says, فَاتَّبَعَهُ الْمُغِيرَ بِإِدَاوَةٍ فِيهَا مَاءٌ فصب عليه حين فرغ من حاجته فتوضأ ومسح على الخفين. It says the narration of Mughira ibn Shu'bah, number 157, that the Messenger of Allah went out to relieve himself, and Mughira followed him, and he had with him a small idawa, some type of container to hold water. فصب عليه حين فرغ من حاجته. فضل اقرأ جميل the hadith in Arabic and translation. فضل.
حديث مغيرة بن شعبة رضي الله عنه عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه خرج لحاجته فاتبعه المغيرة بإداوة فيها ماء فصب عليه حين فرغ من حاجته فتودع ومسح على الخفين.
أحسن. اقرأ أبو سعيد.
Narrated al-Mughira bin Shu'bah, Allah's Messenger ﷺ went out to answer the call of nature, and I followed him with a tumbler containing water. And when he finished, I poured water, and he performed ablution and passed wet hands over his khuf.
Hadith clearly states that Mughira radiallahu anhu followed the Prophet ﷺ as the Messenger of Allah relieved himself, and he poured the water upon him. He made wudu, and he did not wash his feet, his bare feet, alayhi salatu wasalam, nor did he wipe upon his feet. It says, وَمَسَحَ عَلَى الْخُفَّيْنِ. He wiped his leather socks. So this hadith proves what the other narrations prove and state: the permissibility and recommendation of wiping over the khuffain, based upon the etiquettes, the timeline, and things like this that we've explained in other classes. Alright? Khayran inshaAllah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hadith number 158 says, Hadith al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah قال كنت مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في سفر فقال يا مغيرة خذ الإداوة فأخذتها فانطلق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حتى توارى عني فقضى حاجته وعليه جبة شامية فذهب ليخرج يده من كمها فضاقت فأخرج يده من أسفلها فصببت عليه فتوضأ وضوءه للصلاة ومسح على خفيه ثم صلى. Hadith 158 is very similar to 157, in which it mentions that the Prophet ﷺ did something very similar. He went and used the bathroom, and he was wearing a jubbah, a garment, and it had tight sleeves. And he helped him out, and he performed the wudu, and then he went to khayran, he wiped over his khufs. Hadith number 159, the author once again, he says, حديث المغيرة بن شعبة رضي الله عنه قال كنت مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات ليلة في سفر فقال أمعك ماء؟ قلت نعم فنزل عن راحته فمشى حتى توارى عني في سواد الليل ثم جاء فأفرغت عليه الإداوة فغسل وجهه ويديه وعليه جبة من صوف فلم يستطع أن يخرج ذراعيه منها حتى أخرجهما من أسفل الجبة فغسل ذراعيه ثم مسح برأسه ثم أهويت لأنزع خفيه فقال دعهما فإني أدخلتهما طاهرتين فمسح عليهما. Hadith number 159 is very similar, and perhaps it was a different story, or perhaps it was the same story, in which the highlighting point says the Prophet ﷺ was making the wudu. فأهويت, he says ثم أهويت, I reached down to take his khufs off for him, to wash his feet, and he said دعهما, leave them be, don't take off my leather socks, because I've placed them upon my feet and I was in the state of tahara. I placed them on my feet and I was in the state of tahara. This hadith proves the permissibility of wiping over the khuffain, first and foremost. And secondly, it proves that the khuffain are to be put on in a state of tahara, as we have explained as well. In a state of tahara. You place on the khuffain after wudu. You place on the khuffain after you made the ghusl. Everybody understand this? After you made the ghusl. the ritual janaba, for the ritual ghusl for janaba, the ghusl in which you had the intention of uplifting and removing your hadith, the ritual impurity, the breaking of the wudu, as we have explained. And hadith, another benefit from this hadith is the view of some of the people of knowledge is that the khuffain, you should wipe over them with both hands simultaneously. Right hand and left hand, and not right and right or left and left. Everybody understand this? He says, tahirataini. They were both tahiratain. Khayran, inshallah. Chapter number 27. Iqra' Jameel.
Babu hukmi wuludil kalbi. Hadith Abi Hurayrah radiyallahu anhu. قال إن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا شرب الكلب في إناء أحدكم فليغسله سبعا.
Fadal, I'm saying.
Chapter 27, legal verdict regarding the licking of the dog. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a dog drinks from the utensil of any one of you, it is essential to wash it 7 times.
The chapter says, for those following, chapter 27, hadith number 160. The legal ruling regarding the licking of the dog, which is not that accurate, because the chapter heading makes you feel and think that anytime a dog licks you or licks something, you have to wash it, or you have to do something specific to it, and that isn't the case. That what? That is not the case. Everyone understand this? The hadith says, hadith Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu قال أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا شرب الكلب في إناء أحدكم فليغسله 7. When a dog drinks, this is the wording of the hadith, says إذا شرب, when a dog drinks, and the hadith does not say lick. Hadith says shariba, when the dog drinks, and from one of your plates, from one of your bowls, from one of your tumblers, your vessels, ina, then he should wash it 7 times. The vessel should be washed what? 7 times. So first and foremost, the hadith says drink and it doesn't say lick. Secondly, the hadith is obviously talking about what? Something that's liquid. Nothing dry, nothing of any type of fabric or surface, textile. And the chapter heading says the legal ruling regarding what? Licking of a dog. A dog licks my hand. A dog licks my jacket. A dog licks a bowl of dry rice. Now, it's not necessarily the what? The same. It's not the same. It's not the same as a liquid in which the dog sticks its tongue in and what? Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? Khair inshallah. And in other narrations, إِذَا وَلَغَ الْكَلْبِ, when a dog, the wording is actually walagh, to lick or to ladle, use his tongue as a ladle. Everybody understand this? But the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim it says what? Shariba. And other narrations, as we said, very important for you to understand the book, is that the chapter headings are based off of Sahih Muslim. Everybody understand this? Khayr inshallah. So therefore, that's with regards to the chapter heading. For obvious reasons, this chapter heading is in Kitab al-Tahara. And that is because it deals with several issues. Number 1, it deals with the issue of vessels and containers with which you transport water for ghusl and for wudu. Number 2, it deals with the ruling or what happens when the water becomes impure or spiritually contaminated. Number 3, it also deals with the spiritual impurity of the dog's saliva. Najasa, the najasa of the dog's saliva. Everybody understand this? All of those matters pertain to tahara. I'm going to make wudu, the water is sitting in here, the dog licks in it. Alright, I need to make ghusl, the dog licked in it. I want to put more water in the vessel is the vessel clean? And obviously water is something, when you transport it, you need to protect it in something. Now, if it's not in its natural state. A glass, a bowl, a cup, a water skin, a bag, it's something that the water is contained in. So what is the water contained in? Is that thing pure, impure? What happens? Everybody understand this? So that is the connection between the chapter heading and the what? in the kitab. The chapter and the kitab. As far as the connection to the chapter and the hadith, it's clear as well. Is that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when a dog drinks in your vessel, then you have to wash it out. This narration here, it doesn't say pouring it out. There are other narrations that do say what? Pour it out. Outside of, not necessarily agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. It says to do what? To pour out. They tell us and they instruct us to do what? To pour out the liquid that was in the vessel, the bowl. Everybody clear on this? This one just says, wash it 7 times. Obviously, if you're going to wash it 7 times, then you have to do what? You have to empty it out. You have to do what? You have to do what? You have to empty it out. Everybody clear on this? You have to do what? You have to empty it out. Now, the main lesson from this hadith, it shows you the najasa, the physical impurity, spiritual impurity, or specifically the physical impurity of the dog's saliva. How is this? How is the dog's saliva najis? How is it considered to be najis? Because of what? You have to waste your drink or your water, which is valuable, which is precious, and at the time of the Prophet and the companions was extremely scarce. So anytime something pertains to wasting money, it proves that that thing is mandatory, that thing is haram, that thing is najis. Because wasting money is prohibited in Islam, as the Prophet ﷺ has told us in a hadith, that Allah dislikes ida'atul ma. Hadith says, wasting of what? Wasting of wealth, spendthriftiness. So therefore, due to the fact that you have to pour it out and then wash it 7 times, it proves that that thing that came in contact with the water, that came in contact with the bowl was what? If it's najis, then it's automatically haram, as we have explained. If a thing is najis, then the thing is automatically haram. Everything, every essence, every ayn, matter, element, if it's najis, then it's automatically haram. But everything which is haram is not necessarily najis, as we've explained. Everything which is haram does not necessarily mean and necessitate that it is najis. And there's a huge difference between the 2 rulings. A huge difference between the what? 2 rulings. People that ask about alcohol. They ask about perfume, cologne. Can you put on cologne or not? Those ulama who say that you cannot use cologne with alcohol, they say because the alcohol is najis. It's physically impure. It's physically najis. It's like you're spraying urine on yourself. And all of the ulama agree upon the fact that alcohol is haram to drink, to consume. But is it physically najis or not? Those ulama who hold the view that it's najis, they say you can't use that perfume or cologne that has alcohol in it, man or woman. And those ulama who say that it isn't najis, it's spiritually najis, but it's physically, there's no proof, they say, to state that it's najis, they say you can use it. Wow, everybody says it's a very practical benefit. Alcohol, drugs, all different types of things that are haram, but doesn't necessarily mean that they are najis. But everything which is najis is automatically haram. To touch, to taste, to carry, to sell, to buy, so on and so forth. And not necessarily the opposite. Not necessarily the what? The opposite. Everybody clear on this? So the najasa, when it touches your skin, when it touches your clothes, when it falls upon your prayer area, there are rulings that come into play. There are what? Rulings that have to come into play now. And that which is haram but isn't necessarily najis, doesn't necessarily mean that. And obviously we have the difference between the dry najasa and the wet najasa. Everybody understand this? That which is najisatul ayn and that which is mutanajjis. That which is filthy in itself and that which has become filthy because of something being poured on it. Everybody understand this? So therefore this hadith proves that the saliva of the dog is what? It's najis. Because the hadith necessitates for us to do what? Pour out, waste something. And that is haram. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this? Khayr and inshallah. Now, moving forward. Hadith says, إِذَا شَرِبَ الْكَلْبِ. When the dog drinks from your from your vessel, then you should wash it 7 times. There are many different issues that pertain to this hadith. We'll mention them in brief. Number 1. With regards to 7 times, how is the vessel to be washed? And do you have to put dirt inside of the vessel? Do you have to mix it with mud?
It didn't say that.
Doesn't say that in this narration. Other narrations about the mud. Should the dirt be put in the first, and that's one wash, then water the second time, which creates mud, then the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and final seventh rinsing? Or 8 times? Nah? Everybody feeling this? Is it mandatory to put in the dirt and to put in the mud? Nah? And why dirt and why mud? Why dirt and why mud? Another issue very important to this hadith, this mas'ala, is can you use things besides mud, such as soap? If I have a dog that licks into my bowl, I pour it out. Can I just wash it out with palm olive? Ajax? Tell you? Or do I have to use what?
Mud, dirt.
Dirt and water. Everybody clear on this? It's a very important concept. Because this is practicality of Islam now. Is what? Practicality of Islam. The concept of the dog's tongue being najis and its saliva is the madhab of most of the fuqaha. Jumhur al-fuqaha. And there was someone who had the view that a dog, his mouth was pure, and this is something that's totally spiritual. That it's something spiritual, like alcohol. As we've explained before. And others, they say that it's not necessarily pertaining to the dog's mouth being najis, but it shows you the extreme dislikedness of having dogs. Of having what? Dogs should not be around. They shouldn't be in your house. They shouldn't be in your company unnecessarily. Another ulama, they hold the view that the dog's mouth that you're allowed to have and keep is okay. Understand, Khalid? The dog that you can keep is alright. But the illegal dog, the illegitimate dog, Islamically, then that dog's mouth is what? Najis. Everybody understand this? In other words, we're out hunting. We're out hunting. We're in the field hunting. We have some water on the side. We have some tea, some coffee, something we sit on the side. We're looking for the ducks. Or the deer, whatever we're hunting that day. Tayyib? And the dog, the cocker spaniel, or whatever type of hunting dog that you have, tayyib, it comes up and it does what? Licks into the coffee. They say that you can drink it. It's pure. It's not najis because I'm allowed to have the dog. It's Islamically legitimate. It's Islamically what? Legitimate. Or a dog for livestock, for sheep, things like this. Now, everybody understand this? Another very important issue is the concept of police dogs. Dogs that smell for bombs, narcotics, illegal contraband. In the airport.
Could I have a dog?
Things like this. They say on a plane, on a train, where people are, train station, they have dogs. Is it permissible to have this type of dog? Or even security dogs? Now, houses, lots. You have a junkyard. You have a car, you have a garage. People will break in, steal your rims, Nafis. Your doors, your windows, your sound systems at nighttime. You need a what? Dog or dogs. Everybody clear on this? Many of the ulama, they say it's permissible to have these types of dogs because they suit the same purpose as the dogs that the Prophet allowed people to have. For hunting, for the animals, etc. Everybody clear on this? What about a blind man or a blind woman? Can they have dogs?
Service dog?
What type of service dog?
That's what they call them, service dogs.
For blind?
Yeah, service dog.
Okay, tell you. What's the rule on that?
I don't know, shit.
It serves a purpose.
Do they need those dogs? Or can a blind man walk with a cane?
Well, we can.
They have service horses now. Small.
Small horses, huh?
So that's how
Allahu
they go.
Akbar. But what about the lights that make the noise? They may have in New York City, many parts of Philadelphia have them.
Lights that make noise.
Oh yeah, and traffic lights to make certain noises. Green light, red light, yellow light. You go to a modern hotel, outside the door has what?
Braille.
Has Braille. In the Prophet ﷺ's library, they have mushafs with what?
Braille.
With Braille. Everybody understand this? Khayran inshallah. طيب. Let's move forward. Hadith or chapter number 28. اقرأ.
باب النهي عن البول في الماء الراكد. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أنه سمع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا يبولن أحدكم في الماء الدائم الذي لا يجري ثم يغسل فيه ثم يغتسل فيه.
طيب تفضل.
narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "You should not pass urine in stagnant water which is not flowing. Then you may need to wash in it." In parentheses. Then, in parentheses, you may need to wash in it.
طيب. It says here, chapter 28. باب النهي عن البول في الماء الراكد. And there are many other issues pertaining to the dog and also other type of pets, domestic animals such as cats. A very interesting fact. We know that the Prophet ﷺ, he said in the authentic hadith, إنما هي طوافين عليكم الطوافات. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, that the cat is from those animals, or not even animals, but those things that are in circulation, that move about, that you're always in contact with. In other words, if the cat licks or eats, it's okay. Everybody understand this? Now, the nature of the cat, the nature of the dog, we know is like night and like day. Their hygiene, their habits, etc. But the very interesting fact, we don't base our iman off of these things. Okay, nor do we make this our slogan in dawah, science and miracles and what these people say. But this is a very interesting fact, is that the way that the cat drinks, what it does with its tongue when it sticks its tongue into water, is very contrast to that which a dog does. The amount of water, the speed with which the cat uses his tongue, the saliva that is returned to the water, and the saliva that the dog returns to the vessel. Very, very interesting fact. If you get some chance, read about it. It's very interesting. Just food for thought, as we always like to say. Khayr, inshallah. Chapter number 28. It says, Bab al-Nahi an al-Bawli fil ma' al-Rakid. The prohibition of urinating in stagnant water. Still water. Water that doesn't move. The prohibition for urination in stagnant water. This pertains to contaminating the water, disrespecting water, not valuing the blessing of water that is used for so many things. From them is ghusl, wudu, istinja. Ghusl for Jum'ah, ghusl for Janaba, ghusl for a person accepting Islam, wudu, etc. So when a person urinates in that water, then it is going to make that water unclean. That's the first scenario. If it's a little bit of water, if the color of the water changes, the taste changes, the smell changes. And if it doesn't contaminate the water, it is a means and a reason, as the people of knowledge mentioned, behind waswas, whisperings of the devil. Everybody understand this? Also, it pertains to common sense and the mental dignity and intellectual integrity of the Muslim. Why would you urinate in a place in which you're going to clean yourself and wash yourself? A pure, clean place. Something is wrong mentally. Everybody understand this? So this chapter heading here is a part of a small piece of a bigger picture of Islam and of the Muslim. To use his brain just a little. To use his brain what?
Just a little.
Just a little. When we get to a part in the translation in which is a glitch in this concept. So this is how this chapter heading pertains to Kitab al-Tahara. Hadith 161, Hadith Abi Hurairah, أنه سمع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول أو قال لا يبولن أحدكم في الماء الدائم الذي لا يجري ثم يغتسل فيه. It says, narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, I heard the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم saying, you should never urinate in still water, water that doesn't move, then wash in that water. There are two ways of saying this hadith. The first way says, ثُمَّ يَغْتَسِلُ فِيهِ. And the second way says, ثُمَّ يَغْتَسِلْ فِيهِ. With a dhamma, short vowel sound, and with a sukoon. The dhamma is totally different than the sukoon. And the ruling changes with the changing of one diacritical mark. The hadith says, pay close attention. If you look your book, I don't know if your book has it, but it should have two vowels on it. You see the dhamma and the sukoon? Huh? Yes or no? You don't see it?
Which word?
Yaghtasil.
Yeah, as a dome.
Right.
The Dhamma over the lamb?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's two vowels there. Dhamma and a sukoon.
Just a dhamma.
You'll find in some books of hadith, like the Sahih Muslim that we have, in which there's more than one way of saying the hadith. There's more than one variation. Okay? And in which they'll put both vowels in there for you. See here? Khalid says it's a dhamma and a sukoon. So dhamma on top of the what? Sukoon. That black dot, when you enlarge it, obviously it's going to, see that? In other words, there's two ways of saying it. ثُمَّ يَغْتَسِلُ فِيهِ ثُمَّ يَغْتَسِلْ فِيهِ. And it changes the ruling. The hadith states, listen carefully. It says, لا يبولن أحدكم في الماء الدائم الذي لا يجري. It says, none of you, لا يبولن, none of you should ever urinate in still, stagnant water that doesn't move. Everybody understand this? A prohibition. That's a what? Nahi. And the verb is going to be what? Majzoom. It's going to be what? Majzoom. Those studying Ajrumiyah, basic grammar is going to be what? Majzoom. It's going to be Majzoom. It's not marfu', it's not mansoob, it's what? Majzoom. Jazm. Whether jazm is sukoon, whether it's the hadf al-noon, when you go to khayr inshallah, it says here, none of you should do that. Everybody clear on this? ثُمَّ لَا يَغْتَسِلْ فِيهِ. It means there's a prohibition on two things. Not to urinate in the water, and also not to wash it. That's with a sukoon on the land. As far as if it was just a dhamma, then there's only a prohibition of doing the two things together. Don't urinate in the water and then wash up in it. In other words, urinate in it as long as you're not going to wash up in it. Everybody understand this? Khayr inshallah. That's enough of that. We don't want to get too deep into that. It shows you the importance of the Arabic language. The what? The importance of Arabic language, And as one of the disciples said, he says, I hope you're not leaving the people on cliffhangers, Mufti. A cliffhanger. Leaving the people lost, talking over the people's heads. We say, or as another disciple said, he said, yeah, akhi, yeah, Mufti. He said, you're talking to the laymen people, you're confusing them, you're saying things that they don't understand, they won't get. It's going to confuse them. Or maybe something that's inappropriate for the layman person to hear. That which you speak among the talabat al-ilm, and so on and so on and so forth. We say these classes, they're not just for one type of people. These classes for those who speak English, and their brothers and sisters who speak fluent Arabic, that are disciples, that watch the classes, that send the emails, that send the requests, that send the questions. Jazakallahu khairan, extremely beneficial in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, in West Africa, and all other parts of Allah's spacious earth. Everybody understand this? There are some people who watch the classes just for the fa'idah, for the benefit of hearing the dhikr. There's some people who listen to the classes, may watch the classes online, just because they like the positivity of the classes. Wallahi. These messages, they come, am I making this up, Nafis?
No, you're not.
From all over. So the point is that everybody's going to get what?
Something different.
And it's unfair for us to address one class of people and something that's public for everybody. Everybody understand this? You may get 20%, he may get 80, you may get 100. A question may come up which is only for a talib al-ilm. And then a question may come up was for a simple 9 to 5 layman. So we don't broad brush things. Unless we make a specific class, we say this is for the what?
Advance.
Or this is for the layman. 9 or 10 golden rules concerning Sharia law for the 9 to 5 Muslim. That's a different story. Everybody understand this? What is that? Move forward. So this hadith teaches us, first and foremost, that human urine is najis. Human urine is what? It's najis. And that it's impermissible to contaminate the water. And it's also impermissible to wash up in the water after it's been contaminated. Now, the very important question is, to some, is, can a person urinate in the shower? Now, they wash up, they're in the shower. Can you use the bathroom? This is a place in which you're making ghusl. Everybody understand this? Is the water flowing or not?
Yes.
So is that the wisdom behind the hadith, that the water doesn't move? Or is the Prophet ﷺ just saying, don't urinate in the place in which you wash? in which, in most cases or oftentimes, when they washed, the water was what?
Standing.
Still standing in a cauldron, in a tub, a bucket, things like that. Everybody understand this?
No.
So it's a very important issue. Okay, 9 to 5, practical type of issue. A person says, when I take a shower, I urinate right there in the shower and I clean myself right there. Is that haram? Is that disliked? Is that included in this hadith? The hadith says, "Fil ma'i da'im alladhi la yajri," in still water that doesn't move. So it's one or two ways of understanding this. Number one, is this something which is maqsood? Is this actually intended by the Prophet ﷺ? Or is this just a general description? Everybody understand this? Fil ma'i da'im, still water, alladhi la yajri, that doesn't move. Everybody clear on this? Khair, inshallah. Moving forward to the next chapter, chapter number 30. The author, rahimahullah, he says, 29, excuse me, 28. We did 27, 28.
It's a misprint. Say 32.
29 is not even here.
Yeah, it's not here.
Type. 1 second. It says here, chapter number 28. Next page, chapter 29 is missing. It goes right to what?
30.
Chapter 30. Right? Which one you got, Khalid? There's no 29.
I'm writing it down. Chapter 29 is missing.
No, you're on point. But my eyes for what? The red one was in front of me.
Yeah.
Khair, inshallah. Type. This is the original print of the book before it was translated.